Okay, we're going to be going over our review sheet for matter, and our test will be coming up. We may not have covered all of this yet, but we will be covering it before the test. So as you're studying, use your book, use your notes that we've taken in class, use any handouts, and use this review sheet, and you can be working on it a little bit at a time. And we will be going over it in class a couple of days before the test to make sure you have all your answers correct, and then you can use it to study as well. So we're going to start with our first question up here. Matter is anything that takes up, the answer would be space. Okay, so matter is anything that takes up space. Matter and has mass. So get to type mass. Okay. So all things are made of matter. Everything. Matter has properties. Properties describe the shape, size, color, hardness, buoyancy. That's whether it sinks or floats. And we tested that out in class. And all the different ways that we can describe an object. We talked about our five senses. Of course, we're not going to taste things. We talked about that as well. That we don't taste things unless we know for sure that they're safe to taste. But we did talk about how things look and what they feel like and what we see and all that. So all that are the properties of matter. So we want you to think about an object, a solid or a liquid at your house or around you, and then tell the property of it. So I've just picked out something here, and you can pick out anything around you. A stuffed animal, a toy, your favorite toy, a pillow, whatever you want to put. A teddy bear might be soft. It would be brown. It might be rough, or it could be smooth. Just some properties that would describe it. A liquid that you might have at your house. It could be soda, milk, sweet tea. A liquid's property. I think about it being slick. Tea would be tan, and of course it's wet. If I could type, that would help. So those are some properties, and you might have different properties depending on, you could put bubbly for soda. Just think about the different properties that your liquid has. Okay? Matter is made up of tiny particles called molecules, and we drew these in our journal, so if you have your journal, you can use that to help you. You may have drawn them in class, or you may have written them somewhere else, or we have these drawn. You drew them somewhere. So you're going to draw the molecules, and I'm going to get my highlighter to help me draw these out. So that may be too big. Let's see. So with the solid, you're just going to put dots, and they've got to be really tight in there, close together, because the solid is packed in there good, and they can't move around. It's going to stay. They're all arranged in nice, neat little rows, and they're they're close together, and they can't move around. They're just 1, 2, 3, and right together, just all in there together. The liquids can move back and forth. They're not packed as tightly as the solid. They're just kind of jumbled in here, and they're just kind of freely in there. There's a lot in there, but they can move around. The molecules in a gas have the room to move freely, and they move quickly, and they are fast, and they're kind of everywhere, all over the place, and they bounce around. And they do stay in the container they're in, but once that container is open, they just kind of float out wherever they go. The three states of matter are solids, liquids, and gases. Please be familiar with the first two. Solids and liquids are the ones you really need to concentrate on. So that's what our focus is. We have talked about gases, but you really need to make sure you know solids and liquids. And I'm going to reset the page. There we go. Okay. Solids have a shape of their own. For example, if I put a banana in a box, it keeps its own shape. Okay? It's not going to change shape. It takes this it has its own shape. So, and it says to list 3 solids here. So, our first solid that you can list anything here. These are any solid you can think of, and we looked around our room and we talked about all the solids we had in our room. at school, but you can look around you wherever you're at right now. Think about a chair, a key. I'm just thinking about what's close to me right now. A table, and of course our famous thing that we worked with as we worked with solids a lot, we worked with, as I'm typing the word solid, rocks. We did a lot with rocks this week. Alright, and last week. Liquids take on the shape of the container. They move all around. If I put water in a cup, it's going to take on the shape of that cup. If I pour it into a little dish, it'll look like the dish. If I put it in a tall, thin bottle, it's going to take on the shape of that bottle. So whatever, if I put it in a Ziploc bag, it takes the shape of the Ziploc bag, and which we did. So the liquid is going to take the shape of their container. It moves within whatever shape it's in. And of course, if you pour it out of the cup or you spill it, it's going to go all over the place. It just takes on whatever shape of the container. And of course, it says to list some examples of liquids. And you can list your favorite here. Favorite things to drink: lemonade, tea, soda, shampoo. Of course, that's not something you drink, but it is a liquid. Milk, juice, whatever liquids you want. It says just 3, but you can list anything there. Oops, I need a space there. So those are just some liquids you have. And then we have water can change into all 3 states of matter. Water is a liquid, but when heat is added or taken away, it changes to other states of matter. Water can freeze. When water freezes, it becomes a solid called, and the answer here is ice. When water is boiled or heated, it changes to a gas called vapor. So those are some things that we talked about, the water becoming all 3 states of matter. Matter can be changed by mixing, I'm having trouble reading today. Matter can be changed by mixing, cutting, cooking, and burning. Cutting and mixing changes the shape. Sorry, my mind is on something else right now. But it doesn't change the mass. So it just changes when you're mixing and you're cutting, like with a piece of paper. If you were to cut that paper, it might change the shape of it, but it's not going to change the amount of paper you actually have. You're not taking away, you're just changing the way it looks. Okay? Also, if you take some rice Chex Mix and you add some M&Ms to it and you mix that together, you have a mixture, a Chex Mix kind of mixture, but you didn't really change you didn't add anything as far as, you didn't add anything to the M&Ms or the Chex Mix and change it to something totally different. You aren't making a irreversible change, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But you just put the 2 things together. You didn't really change the substance of it. So to change it to something totally different, you have to add or remove heat, and heat or pressure. That would change it and make it an irreversible change. So we're going to talk about reversible and irreversible changes. And with reversible changes, you can change matter back to the way it was. Some of these reversible changes, kind of like we talked about, a mixture. You can take the Chex Mix and the M&Ms apart. So just a mixture can be taken apart, like Chex Mix. I think of Chex Mix as a good mixture that you can just take it back apart. It's something that can be reversed. Water melting or freezing, or anything really for that matter, not just water. A popsicle. If you had a popsicle or even ice cream and it melts a little bit, you can stick it back in the freezer and it freezes back up. You still can eat it. You did not really do anything that can't be undone. It can be reversed, melting or freezing. And then like dissolving, even dissolving something in like sugar or salt into something, the water can be evaporated off and you're going to have left behind the sugar or the salt. So the salt especially. Dissolve. Oops, I can still not spelling correctly. If I could type, it would help. There we go. Dissolving salt into water. So if it was to evaporate back out, it is going to, which we've talked about a little bit with evaporation, and it is going to be left behind. So irreversible changes are matter that is when matter cannot be changed back to the way it was. So this is when heat is added, or for something like rust is involved, or burning, that kind of thing. And that is like cooking an egg. Once you've cooked that egg and you've broken that egg and heat is added, it's not coming back to be a nice little egg again. It's changed. When you've scrambled those eggs, it's not going back to look like, you can't put it back inside that shell and it be the same. Baking a cake, same thing. When you have that mixture, you've mixed everything back up, and you've baked it, it's totally different. It's a whole new thing now. Burning wood also. The wood is totally changed, and when rust forms, this is just something else. When rust forms, it's a chemical change. So if there's a chemical change, that's something different. That's a little more complicated, but a mixture is made when two or more things come together. So we've talked a little bit about like the mixture with the Chex Mix. Salad is a mixture, like fruit salads, regular salads. When you put a bunch of stuff in a bowl, anytime you put two or more things together. Potting soils, when you put sand and potted dirt and that kind of thing, just different potting soils. Chex Mix toys, if you have your Legos and different toys together, you have a bunch of things, or your drawer with your socks and your t-shirts or something, just anything, two things that come together, that's a mixture. I hope that as you're studying, this is just a review of what we've talked about in class, and you can continue to work on refreshing over and reviewing over this so that you are ready for our test. Good luck.